Okay, here's children catching charges at 13, 15 years old. So this started back in the early 90s, I'd say. In 2000, I went to jail for spanking my kids with a belt. Okay, I come home from work. My neighbor comes over, tells me my boys were fighting at their house earlier that day. I need to get in touch with my wife. There's been problems there. I call my wife. She's at her sister-in-law. She comes home, gets home, tells me the story. The younger one hit the older one with lead pipes. The younger one hit the older one with lead pipe, and then my wife came over and told him to come get in the house. My wife tells him, get in the house, and Zach, the older one, tells her, fuck you, bitch. So I get home from work and hear and find this out and tell them they've been acting up, told them they was going to get a spanking for this. There was no other way, so Colin, the younger one, bends over, takes his spanking like a man, no problem. I go to spank Zach, and he bucks on me. And so I have to wrestle him to the ground. I get my knee in his back, and I'm trying to get his pants off. And he's fighting me, and he's wrestling, and he's tussling and throwing his face around the carpet. Right? Imagine doing this to your face in the carpet and trying to get away. He gave himself rug burn all over his face. It looked like I beat the shit out of him, but that wasn't the case. Sister-in-law comes over the next day. I go to jail. I lose him. It takes 2 years to get him back. I have to go back to court twice. I had to pay my lawyer now a second time to go to court to get them back. It was a big, horrible ordeal. Long story short, when I got them back, the older one had turned, just flipped his lid, maybe already had some kind of mental problems going on. I'm sure that he does, but he was acting like a maniac. This kid was doing everything he could to try to get us evicted from wherever we were, and back in trouble with the law. He deliberately, was being a little asshole. So one morning, and we had to move into a hotel because when I went to jail, not only did I lose everything financially, it ruined me legally where I couldn't get my name on paper. It was showing 2 felonies, and they weren't coming off. I couldn't get them off. They had been brought down in misdemeanors, but still showed felony and still showed violent, even if it was a misdemeanor. I couldn't get an apartment, couldn't get a house at the time. It ruined me. So we had to stay in a hotel for a couple of years to get our stuff together, to get through the probation. It was a lot that I had to go through and deal with. Classes, probation, community service, parenting classes, anger management classes. It was insane. But anyway, so we're in a hotel, and one morning I'm sitting at the door, and the door's cracked. I'm smoking a cigarette, and here comes a lady cop, and she says, "Mr. Ruskoff." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Do you know where your boys are? You know where your sons are right now?" I said, "Yeah, they spent the night at their friend's house down the street." "No, sir, get dressed and come with us." So I get dressed, I go with the cop in the cop car down to the scene, which is just right around the corner from us. They broke into a car dealership. How, to this day, I still don't know how he did it. And unfortunately, everything that comes out of the kid's mouth is a lie. So it would do me no good to ask the truth. So I still, to this day, don't know how this kid got the keys. But somehow they broke into this place, got keys to a brand new van, broke into it, started up, were driving around the parking lot doing donuts, and then set the son of a bitch on fire. And so I show up to the scene in the back of the cop car, and here's sitting this van in the middle of this parking lot. It's smoke. That smoke pouring out the back end. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking. I'm still on probation. So, so for the luck, the luck that was bestowed upon them is insane. So they call the owner of the place. The owner of the place comes down. Just by coincidence, this place was right around the corner from me. So my kids have been staying there about 6 months, a few months with us now. So this guy knows who they are, right? So they're familiar to him. So he doesn't press charges. Nothing happens to him, right? Crazy. I couldn't believe it. They were 13, 15. They were underage. So all that kind of stuff they had going for them. They couldn't be prosecuted. Like it was a very bizarre, weird scenario all the way around, right? Well, it was a terrible one because it was pretty much telling these kids they could get away with murder, and it didn't stop there. That was the beginning of it. Within a 2-year span, every single Roswell cop knew me and my wife by first name basis. My wife used to get pulled over a few times just for the cop to say, "Hey, how you doing, Christina? How the boys?" Blah blah blah. We were that well known. They were at our hotel like every single week. Not a week went by Zach wasn't pulling some bullshit, and the cops weren't coming asking us about it. Not every time he got in trouble or they blamed it, but we were the first place they were coming to now because these two boys. They snuck out one night. They broke into what's that place called? A junkyard. Cars that have been impounded. They're breaking these cars and stealing the chain and whatever. They get caught for that. They're leaving the same place one day, and they get jumped and beat up by a few black guys, and cops came and got me, and we had to sit there and fill out a report. They had to, give description, all this. They was constantly getting in trouble, constantly getting the police involved. One time I come home from work, and there was 30 cops. The entire Roswell police force was where we stayed at this hotel, okay? It was like 50 yards from a major intersection, right? And right at the corner of the intersection, on one side is a Burger King, and on the other side is the backside of this car lot that they broke into and stole this van. So they're over at Burger King shooting off rounds, shooting whatever, and they get the entire police force over there. And I'm coming home from work one day, and I hit the corner, and it looks like something you see in a movie. It's insane. All these cops are there, all of them, and it's because of my kids. My wife worked at Publix up the street, right? She was like could barely stand the anxiety and the stress this was causing. Like, if I was at work and I wasn't to get a hold of, they'd go straight to her work. Can't tell you how many times cops actually come to her work while she was working and talking to her about these unruly kids, right? They was taking this shit overboard. So Zach progressed and got worse and worse, and I finally told him, I can't put up with you anymore. You turn 18, you're out on your own, There was a couple of nights. There was one night I remember in particular, and he was only 15, 16, right? So the manager of this place we're staying at, this is the only place, it's either this or the street, right? And so the manager of this place is telling us, if this kid keeps on, we're going to have to kick you out. We're going to have to make you go, and I didn't even have transportation at the time yet. So he was putting us in horrible predicaments. And the guy was telling us, we're going to have to get rid of this. You guys are going to have to leave because this kid, he's in people's rooms now. He's going through, and he's meeting people with the drugs. And this kid was making my life a living hell, right? So one night we're walking around the parking lot. I'm trying to talk to him. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I tell him, Zach, you got to come in. You got to come in. This guy can't see you out here. He's not even allowed to be out or walk in the parking lot at night. This guy, this kid, and he won't go in the room. He's bucking that much on me. So, he had my back against the wall because he's 15, 16. And, as far as legal guardianship, there wasn't really shit at the time we could do but put up with it and take it. So some years go by. We move out of there. We move into a townhouse right at 285 and Roswell Road. And now he's he's still on, still pulling his bullshit. So I have to kick him out on his 16th, on his 18th birthday, day after his 18th. I didn't have a choice, it was either me or him. I was going through some horrors in myself at the time, and just, was frankly over it. So one night, he's passed out across the street at the church. There was a church diagonally across the street from where we lived, in a shopping center or whatnot, but he was over there sleeping, and a cop came over there and woke him up to, run him off. Hey, kid, you can't be sleeping here. It had happened once, maybe even twice prior to this, and this time the cop nudged him, whatever, to wake up, and he got up and he started swinging on the cop, and so on and so forth. So it finally got, but we'd moved from Roswell to Sandy Springs, so they knew he had a record, but he wasn't, as under their skin. We're in a different town now, a different police force, right? We're the next town over. So he's fresh, but it didn't take long, to get himself known, start all his bullshit. And so he does that, and the city of Sandy Springs, Georgia, literally evicted him. Thank God. So I didn't even have to kick him out. He kicked himself out. Now he'll go to jail if he's seen at my house and from anywhere at Sandy Springs. Period. He'll go to jail. So that's how that went. I pray for the kid. Me and his mom, we pray for him. He's got big problems and troubles. It's disturbing. It's painful. It's hurtful. I raised the kid. He's my baby, and he won't take his medicine properly. He's come damn near next to death too. I don't know exactly what happened to him. His lung collapsed. That's what it is. We're talking 22-year-old kid, and his lung collapsed. So, and I'm not even going to discuss the things he posts and puts out there. I've told him time and time again to keep as much as he can to himself. If you've seen him on Facebook, it's not hard to find him. If you see me on Facebook, you're going to realize who he is, and you'll see for yourself that the things he posts and write about are quite disturbing. So, Zach, if you see this, I love you, and I wish the best for you, but you've got to take your medicine on the regular. I mean, kid, he's 22. He's already been to prison. He's been to jail a million times. He's pretty much one of a kind when it comes to like ballsy and over the edge and shit like that. Zach is all that. I mean, the kid, there's no fear in him. He don't fear nothing. Unfortunately, death included. Done shit I can't even talk about. So, I'll leave it at that. I hope this touches and reaches somebody. I hope somebody can get something out of my messages. You younger ones, please pass this message. Drugs will take you down roads a lot of people never come back from. It takes very, very hard will and drive and desire to become an addict and straighten your life out. It's not an easy thing. It's more commonly not done than done. I'm the ADD advocate. This is my message. This is my story. And this is my life. Love you.